Welcome to Beginner Skype for the C programming tutorial videos. Welcome back. In today's tutorial, we are going to look at the functions concept in C program. So in today's tutorial, we are going to learn what is function and what is the use of function, why function. So we are going to learn about the theoretical part of function. Then the next session we will learn the practical part of the function. But the first thing, functions. What is functions? A function is a group of statements that together perform a specific task. Let me give you an example. Let's say you are a businessman, you have a supermarket. Being a boss, because it's your shop, isn't it? So you are the boss there. Being a boss, do you think that you alone can manage the shop? It's very difficult, isn't it? So you find that sometimes there is a lot of customer out there. If you are just alone there, it's very difficult for you to manage, isn't it? So that is the reason why you may employ some people there in the shop to help you, isn't it? So it's like a group of people who is working for you. So what is the use of that group of people? What is the use of your employees there? They can make your work easier. The work can be done so fast. Even if there is any mistake, let's say you are the boss, you are the one who is doing the selling, you are the one who is doing the billing, you are the one who is doing the customer, maybe if the customer has got any problem, it's just imagine that it's you who is attending to all the customers. Then it will be a time consuming process. Even if there is a mistake, it's very difficult for you to identify because you're just alone there in the shops. So it will be a tricky process, isn't it? So even in programming, there is a function name called main function. I'm sure that in the previous examples we have looked at it about the integer main function. It's like a function where where you usually write the logics for that particular program, isn't it? So let's say if the task is a complex one, the program that you want to write is a big task. Let's say you're going to write all the logic for that problem within the main function. It can be done. Yeah, it's okay. You can still write everything within the main function because main function is like a manager, is like a boss. Whatever the thing that you write down within the main function, that is what is going to be executed in the programming, isn't it? So but let's imagine you write 1000 lines of code within the main function. In case if you do a mistake, it's very tricky for you to identify the mistake, just because you need to go through everything from the beginning because it's just one function. To avoid that problem, we can have sub function in a program. So apart from the main function, we can have sub function. The same like you can be a boss for the shop, but you can still employ some people to work for you. So what is the use in case if there is any problem? Let's say there is a customer who wants to find out about something. Instead of you attending to that customer, you can ask the people to do it for you, isn't it? So that you can focus on one thing. So it can make your work easier. Even if there is any problem, let's say that customer is complaining, no, I want to find out the information about this product. These people, they are not responding. So you know who is responsible to attend to that customer inquiries. So instead of taking care of everything, you can, instead of taking care of the whole process of that shop, you can just go and ask that people, this customer is complaining to me that you're not giving them the proper information. So that can be done, isn't it? So even for you to solve the problems, if there is anything, it's simpler. So that is what we do in programming as well. So when it comes to the functions, a function is a group of statements that together perform a specific task. Even though you are working there, even though you have got the employees there in the supermarket, you are the boss there. So you are all working together to perform that one task, which is nothing but sales of that shop, isn't it? So you need to do a lot of sales for you to make a profit. That is the task, but you are all working as a team. Even in programming, you can have one function as a main function, but you can have a sub function. What does it mean, sub function? That sub function can have the specific task. Even like your employee, maybe you can assign some people who can attend to the customer inquiries. You can assign some people who can help the customers to find out the price, whatever the information that they want. So it's like there is a group of people but they are all working for your shop, isn't it? So even in programming, it's just the same. A function is a group of statements that together perform a specific task. Every C program has at least one function which is main. I'm sure that all these programming examples that we have seen so far, we have seen one function name called main. The example is here. For example, this is a main function. Within the main function, the logic that I have written here is hello everyone, meaning that within this main function you can still write everything, the logic that you want to solve, right? So each program has got at least one function, namely main function. But why use function? What is the use of function? Functions are used to divide the large code into module. Due to this, we can easily debug and maintain the code. As I given you the example before, it's like a shop. Let's say shop is a big thing. It's a supermarket is a big thing. It can be managed by one people. Yeah, you alone can manage the shop, but it's a tricky process. It's better to find the people who work for you so that you can divide them the work. You can do this one. Maybe you can attend to the inquiries. So you can assign the work for them so that they can work for you. But at the end, they're all working for the growth of your shop, your supermarket, isn't it? So same like here in function, main function is like a boss. But those other sub functions, they're like employees. They're all working towards the one task. They're all working for that particular program, but they're all given the separate task. They will be working for their task, but at the end they need to report to the manager. They need to report to the boss. Okay, you have given me this task of attending to the customers, maybe just showing them the product, maybe just doing the marketing for that particular product. So each one of them will be given the separate task. They will be working for that separate task, but at the end, when you just look at that whole supermarket as one, so they're all working for that one function, isn't it? So they're all working for that shop. So even in programming, functions we use to divide the large program into a module. Due to this, we can easily debug and maintain the code, right? Then for example, here is as I given you the example as a supermarket. Even in the bank, you can have a bank manager, but in the bank, same time in the bank, there is a lot of people who is working as a customer service. There is a group of people who work there to collect the money from the customer or whatever, but manager is the boss. But manager alone, just imagine if the manager alone is doing everything, attending the inquiries, maybe collecting the money from the customers, checks, clearing the checks. Let's imagine he's the only one who is doing all the job. It will be a difficult, but it can be done, but it will be a difficult and time taking process. That is the reason why he has got the departments in the banks. They are all working for that particular process of the bank. So at the end, each one of them were given the different task, but at the end together they are all working for that particular bank, right? Same here in programming. We can have one function as main, but all those sub functions, they are all working towards to solve that particular problem, right? So what is the use of this function? We can reuse the code. For example, even in the same example that I have given you, in the supermarket, you find that there is a one employee making a mistake. It's not necessarily for you to dismiss all the employees. You can find that employee, you can dismiss that employee, you can replace that employee with someone else instead of replacing everyone else, isn't it? So even in programming, if you find there is a mistake in one function, instead of changing the coding part for the whole program, you can just change the particular function so that you can rectify that problem. So it will help us to do the code reusability. Then it can use us to develop an application in a module format, which is nothing but in a structured way. Then it can help us to easily debug the program, isn't it? So for example, you are writing the program for adding, subtraction, multiplication and division into one program. Let's say you are doing it as a separate function, adding as a separate function, multiplication as a separate function, division as a separate function. If you when you compile the program, if you find a mistake in the multiplication part, not necessarily you need to change some addition and the subtraction part. You can go and find out the error in the multiplication part, and then you can rectify the error. So it helps us to debug the program easily. Then the final one is code optimization, which is nothing but there is no need to write a lot of code. So these are all the basic advantages of function. Then when it comes to the functions, there are two types. First one is a predefined, another one is a user defined. So what does it mean, predefined? Predefined are the function which comes with a system. For example, printf is a predefined function, scanf is a predefined function, and then we have got the square root function. So if you want to calculate the square root of 8 to the power of 2, if you want to calculate the power of 2 of 8, we can use that predefined function name called square root. But what is the disadvantages of using this predefined? So predefined functions can perform specifically some certain jobs. You cannot use the predefined functions for you to perform a lot of tasks. That is a limitation. But when it comes to the user defined, us programmers are the one who is responsible to create the function. So when it comes to the user defined function, you can perform more than one function. It's nothing like there is a restrictions. But when it comes to the predefined, there is a restriction. You can able to perform that specific task. If you want to with a function square root, you can able to perform only square root operations. You can't perform anything else apart from that calculating the square root. So that is the difference between the predefined and the user defined. Predefined are the function which comes with a system. User defined, the programmer is the one who is responsible to create their own function. So these are all the two types of function. Then the function components. Actually in a function there are three parts. First one is a function declaration. So what does it mean, function declaration? Function declaration is the way of declaring the functions that you are going to use them in your program. Then what does it mean, function definition? So function definition is the part where you are going to write the logic for that particular function. Then what about function calling? So after writing that logic for that particular function, that function needs to be called in the main function. So these components like function declaration, function definition, and function callings, when we see them, these concepts through programming, I'm sure that you can able to understand more. This is about the today's tutorial, guys. For more videos, kindly subscribe to Beginner's Guide.